Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. And today we'll be covering day three of module one. Um, and day one, we tried to understand our reactions. Day two was more about thoughts. And today, day three is about emotions. So, and the session today is titled "Emotions Are Old, Not Always True." And this says a lot, just this one sentence: emotions are old, not always true. And just as we think about it, or bring it into awareness, we realize that we are carrying emotions. No, we are all almost, even from an evolutionary perspective, if you see a child, you see the whole range of emotions in a child. And it's wonderful, when you observe a child getting jealous or angry, irritable, annoyed. And and we all have that. Our experiences teach us sometimes to feel a certain way. But at the same time, while we are carrying these emotions, we can trust that they are not always true. So with that, um, we perhaps try and understand more deeply that what I feel in the present may actually belong to the past. And that's something that we'll try to, work through in today's sessions. And we'll also try and recognize that emotions are not random. They are not irrational. Many emotional reactions are actually stored emotional memories, which can come up again for us. When there is a trigger, when something makes us relive and go back to that emotional world. So, so that's going to be our attempt here, and also not just understanding more deeply and recognizing our emotions, but moving from this kind of emotional upheaval to more emotional awareness, and with awareness, more emotional control. So, as we always do, arriving today with setting an intention, and I'd like to open the session by asking everyone a question. Have you ever reacted emotionally to something and later realized that your reaction was perhaps exaggerated and much bigger than the actual situation? And at least I have been guilty of it. And I'm sure a lot of us have encountered some situation or the other where we felt like, okay, yeah, I mean, it was something, but maybe I ended up feeling much more, than that situation deserved. So examples could be when we felt deeply hurt by a small, say, remark or criticism. It could be when someone replied late, or when maybe we overanalyzed something, became unusually anxious, or we shut down quickly, we felt rejected very easily. So, just inviting you to think about, has it ever been true for you where you felt like you had an exaggerated emotional reaction? And yeah, taking a few moments to just think about it and bring it to mind. And again, I'd like to say that sometimes we think we are reacting to the present moment, but often the present moment is touching something which is older inside of us, and there is an emotional memory that we are carrying. So we'll try and understand this emotional memory a bit better. So um, let us maybe just bring ourselves here. Close your eyes if that feels okay, and setting an intention for yourself today for the session, for what you'd like to work on. So you may want to complete the sentence for yourself, which is today I want to better understand the emotion of, and it could be anything, it could be anger, sadness, loneliness, shame, anxiety, overwhelm. But while you're here, just really reflecting on which emotion you would like to work on or understand better. So today I want to better understand the emotion of, and you could either send your responses on the chat or just make a note for yourself.
Can it also be a positive emotion?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, just taking a moment to connect with that and even trying to feel why you'd like to work on that emotion. And one way to also bring yourself to the session is by feeling your body, maybe running your awareness through your body, finding if any parts of the body are tense or tight, feeling stressed. Sending love to those parts, breathing into them. And as we do this, we'll also try and learn how can we listen to the emotional body. So, um, if you've been able to identify the emotion you'd like to work on, perhaps also bringing to mind a recent emotionally difficult moment where you felt that emotion. And I'd like to, if possible, say that staying away from really like getting lost in the story and connecting more to the feeling. What did you feel? How were you feeling in that moment? So, yeah, trying to develop that kind of awareness of that emotion inside of you. And then trying to assess where do you feel that in your body? And that might feel strange, initially. How do I feel that emotion in my body? But if you pay attention and if you've connected to the emotion, you might feel that you can almost feel there's a, say, a tightness in your chest, or your throat feels constricted. You feel like your breath has become shorter and faster. There is heaviness, there's restlessness. You could feel like your stomach feels tight, there's tension. So, not just thinking about the emotion, but having the whole somatic experience, because emotions do affect how we feel in the body. Our body responds almost instantly to a change in emotion. So you would notice that if you've ever been angry, your heart rate changes, your muscles tighten, breathing shifts. So this emotion that you're trying to connect to, where do you feel it in your body? How does it feel? The beautiful part about our nervous system and our body is that it remembers experiences even when the conscious mind has tried to move on. So now that uh, you could have connected to the emotion and the feeling of the emotion inside your body, I'd like you to work on this emotion. So how do we do that? Again, we will use the SPC practice, which is stop, breathe, and choose. And we've already stopped by bringing up that feeling, reconnecting with it, trying to feel it in the body, pausing, becoming still. And the breathing will help us become more in control of, of what we are feeling. So we can, one more time, if we haven't already, try to close our eyes or gaze softly ahead of you, eyes lowered, and inhaling gently, softly, but also deeply, and trying to feel the breath in your body, the breath making its way, your body expanding as it's breathing in, contracting as it's breathing out. And see if you could make your exhales longer than the inhale. And the attempt here is to stay present with the feeling of whatever it is that you're feeling. So, can I breathe through this feeling? Can I stay present with this feeling without immediately reacting to it? That is what we're trying to do with the breaths. And that is what we choose. We are choosing to stay present. For instance, if the emotion is that of anxiety, we're not trying to blame ourselves, get rid of it, and feel anxious about feeling anxious. We can just stay present with it. And that's sometimes a hard thing to do because when we are feeling negative emotions, we don't want to feel them. We want to do anything to not feel them. And that anything can be, trying to run away from the situation, maybe binge watching Netflix, maybe shopping, maybe eating, whatever it is we do to cope with difficult emotions. um, it Perhaps by now we realize that it's not really very helpful. So what can help us is that if we can build some kind of tolerance for the difficult emotion in that moment, and just building some tolerance for some time can help us shift the emotion. So I'll again ask you, what emotion feels hardest for you to sit with quietly? Which is that emotion which you want to escape from as quickly as you can? And if you'd like to, you can share your response on the chat. But if not, then um, please make a note of it for yourself. We have one response here which says frustration. And I'd like to ask you, how do you try and escape frustration? How do you deal with it? What's your coping mechanism?
So frustration arises from, a lot of you. I've realized that frustration arises when you have expectations or you want things to work exactly how you think it should work, but it doesn't. So
Mm.
I have learned to cope with it by not having very rigid expectation of this is how it should be. If not, I'll be disappointed. I let it flow. But
Mm.
frustration was something I couldn't sit with. I used to be frustrated by being with the word frustrated.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for sharing that because yeah, we can be angry at ourselves for feeling angry. We can be anxious about feeling anxious. We can be frustrated with feeling frustration. And and what we're realizing is that actually emotions are not our enemies. They are messengers. They are not trying to harm us. They are telling us something. So when we change our relationship with difficult emotions, we can have more compassion for ourselves in that moment when we are struggling. because it almost feels like I am my worst enemy. I don't want to feel this way. Why am I blame myself, I criticize myself, I berate myself, but I'm not understanding that this emotion is trying to help me. It's trying to tell me, about my beliefs, about how I can also do better. But that said, the good thing about emotions also is that emotions are fast. They move quickly. And we'll experience it. Then we might be feeling really charged about something. But before we know, it's past. Sometimes even before, we fully understood what is happening, we've already started feeling what we are feeling. So, say there's a meeting coming up, and maybe the conscious mind is even not very aware of it, but anxiety has already set in. We are already angry before we reflected on what's happened. We are feeling shame even before, logic has set in to tell us that this wasn't the case. We can feel sad for any explanation. And this is why emotions can feel overwhelming, because they can arrive before we have consciously understood something. They are fast. They are fast to come. They can be fast to also go if treated with mindfulness. So, this speed of feeling emotion can sometimes make it very difficult for us to deal with them, because we haven't even realized why we feel so charged. Why am I feeling so angry? And sometimes, logically you could think, oh, nothing has happened, but you've already started feeling it. And then you've already reacted. So the heart of what we are trying to do today and understand is that um, the intensity of a feeling is not always about the present moment, because the present moment has only activated an older emotional wound. And sorry, and this is what we're trying to come at, that the the shame already resides within us. That remark has only brought it up. It's not created the shame. The anger is already in me for something else. But now that a similar thing has happened, I I tend to maybe magnify it, because um, it is something from the past that I'm already carrying. So, for example, criticism can sometimes, activate shame from childhood. Somebody's silence can activate our fear of abandonment. Sometimes a small fight can make us feel like, we are being rejected. Small disappointments can trigger a feeling of inadequacy. So these things, um, while they are not so big in themselves, when we think about them perhaps later or when we are more calm, uh, in that moment, it is a memory that's really drilling into, that little bit that's happened, and making us um, magnify the situation. And uh, and I feel like this is something very relatable, where we felt, after a reaction, I know I shouldn't feel this strongly, but I do. It's a small thing. I should not feel so sad. I should not feel so angry. I should not feel so jealous, but I am feeling like that. And that comes from emotional memory. And our body also remembers experiences emotionally. It carries our emotions with it. So, if any questions until now, anyone wants to share something, please feel free to do so, or just take a few moments to think about what we've discussed so far. So, we are coming to understand that our brain creates associations. It's associative. It will connect our present day experience or the experience I'm having now with some past experiences that felt similar. So if say your partner is quiet, one evening after work, um, emotionally, your nervous system, your mind may react as though it's much bigger than that. It's created a story, and it's activated some kind of um, maybe wounding from the past that is disproportionate to what is happening in the present moment. So, so while the present moment might not be dangerous, we tend to start believing that it's bigger than what it seems like. And um, and and these emotions, because they are so sticky, they keep coming up again and again. We fight the same battles. Actually, we're not fighting very new battles. We'll see that through time, it's the same things that trigger us. It's the same situations, maybe just different people, but the feelings that we tend to feel are very similar. So if I tend to feel a lot of anxiety, I might feel that no matter what situation I am, the characters could be changing, but I'm being put in the same situation again and again, where I'm forced to look at some point, what is actually happening with me. And the thing also is that we were never really taught how to experience our emotions consciously. So what we do is that we can tend to suppress, a very common way. Suppressing could mean that it's not a big deal. I'll do something else and I'll forget about it. We could explode. So we've not really dealt with the emotion, we've just reacted to it. We could distract ourselves. We could start being on the phone. We could start, being on the internet, watching something, doing something. We could intellectualize it and say that, use logic, use rationale to say that, oh, I maybe should not be feeling this, but we are feeling it. We could numb the emotion. But all of these mechanisms, all of these tools or mechanisms that we use sometimes very smartly, and we don't even know we are doing it. The problem with doing that is that they do not take the emotion away. The emotion is still there, and it still gets triggered the next time we face something. So the only way for us to then help ourselves is learning to be with the emotion, uh, feel an emotion without being completely consumed by it. And some part of it we practiced yesterday as well, when we tried to understand that our thoughts are not always true. What we are thinking about ourselves, about the world, about other people, we don't have to believe every thought. And with emotion, what we do is that we can become again the observer of the emotion. So yeah, maybe rather than saying or believing or thinking that I am angry or I am unsafe, I could say things like, I notice fear, I notice sadness, I notice anger. And what that is doing is just a change of sentence structure, or how we are presenting this sentence, is that it creates a distance between us and the emotion. We do not become the emotion. I am angry is very different from I notice anger. And I'd like you all to just practice this, maybe for a few moments, where whatever emotion that you said you want to work with today, um, thinking about that, and saying, instead of saying, I am frustrated, maybe framing it as, I notice some frustration in me, or I notice frustration. and see if you feel any different by doing that. Changing how we frame the emotion and our relationship with it. And the other thing is that we could be at war with our emotions. Like we just discussed that we could blame ourselves. We should think, I shouldn't be feeling this. Why am I like this? And I also hear a lot of people say this, I need to stop being so emotional. I am too emotional. You know, it puts me in tough situations. I can't control my emotions. And it's almost like it's a bad thing. It's making them miserable just because they are feeling what they are feeling. They are fighting with their emotions. So if you've ever felt that, you've sort of criticized yourself for feeling what you're feeling, then it's important to pause and understand that, again, emotions are not trying to punish you. They just need your attention. They want to tell you something, and because they want to tell you something and you're not listening, they're just fighting for your attention. So what they're asking us for is awareness and some kind of safety, understanding, expression. They want us to be able to be kind, to what they're trying to tell us. So we can heal our emotions, or we can heal how we are feeling when we can become capable of staying present with the emotion without losing ourselves in them. So we are not getting consumed by the emotion, but we can let the emotion make its presence felt and then be released. And this can sound, difficult to do, but the practice that we did yesterday, which was uh, you know um, the meditation that we practiced, in which we allowed our thoughts to come, we could see them as clouds floating in the sky, and then watch them go away, and we realized how fleeting the nature of thoughts is. With practice, we can do the same with emotion. So if I had to ask you, what emotion visits you most often when you are, say, stressed or in a difficult situation? And you could make a note of it or share it with everyone. What emotion visits you most under stress? And what usually happens when that emotion appears? So, for some people, it could be, they start overthinking, they start people pleasing, they become defensive, they can overreact, they can withdraw. What happens when that emotion appears? What's your, you know, go to behavior, or what happens by default when you start feeling like that? And then what would happen if you could just accept the emotion, acknowledge it, see it, and if it chooses to stay, maybe let it be for longer, but carry on with whatever is around you. So be present with it and yet be present with yourself. So as not every thought is true, not every feeling is a fact. And sometimes emotions are something from the past which we haven't been able to see. And therefore, the emotion keeps coming back and asks us to be seen. So, the practice that we did, which um, we can use in our day to day life when we feel a strong emotion, is to name, locate, and then allow. So, how does it work? When you start feeling distressed or strongly about something, to create a pause, so to stop what you're doing, find a couple of minutes even to sit with yourself and name what you're feeling. Naming is a very effective technique to build awareness about what is happening. And just by telling yourself or becoming aware consciously, putting a name to your feeling itself is two steps forward in how to deal with the emotion. So stop, maybe if you can, breathe and name, what am I feeling right now? Locate it. Where do I feel it in my body? And then allow it. Can I let this feeling exist for a moment without reacting immediately to it? Sitting with the emotion. We name the, and naming emotion will immediately reduce your nervous system overwhelm, because awareness creates regulation. The moment you become aware of what's happening with you, you already have taken a step towards regulating it. If the mind doesn't know what's happening, how will it how will it help you work with it? Or how will it help you deal with it? So when you name what you're feeling, the mind now has a plan. Okay, I know how to deal with anger. I know this is anger. So name the emotion, locate it. Okay, my breath is feeling short. I'm feeling this tightness in my chest. Maybe if I breathe deeply, I can open my body a bit, relax it a bit. So identifying that sensation in the body, and then having the courage to sit with it. So, yeah, asking yourself, can I just let this feeling exist for a moment without wanting to shut it down, without wanting to escape it, without wanting to run away from it, distract myself? Can I just sit with the sadness, sit with the anger? So, as a practice today, um, and once you go back, you could work on this. Today, when I feel this, I will pause and notice it instead of immediately reacting. What is it that you feel that is difficult, but you can try and pause and locate, name, notice instead of immediately reacting? That's the homework for today. And before we move on to any questions you might have, we'll do a small meditation to integrate all that we've learned today, just to put it in practice. So if you're able, then trying to sit straight, spine is long but soft, and allow the body to settle naturally. And once you're comfortable here, you could either close your eyes or just soften your gaze. And for the next few moments, reminding yourself that you have nowhere you need to be. You can just be here. And as you really settle down, beginning to notice the breath, not trying to change anything with the breath, simply noticing it. Inhale entering the body, exhale leaving the body. And slowly deepening the breath just a little. Inhaling softly through the nose, exhaling softly through the nose. And with every breath, allowing the body to soften, relax a little bit more. You can feel your shoulders are relaxing, dropping the shoulders, jaw is unclenching, muscles around the eyes are softening. And now bringing your awareness inward. So notice what is present emotionally for you right now. You don't need to create an emotion, just simply notice what it is that is present. It could be a feeling of calm, it could be sadness, restlessness, anything. And whatever is here, just letting it be here. And if you've been able to identify the emotion, you can even talk to it. So you can say, hey, hi, sadness. I know you are here. And I am your friend. If there is anything you want to tell me, I can listen. I can stay present with this feeling. And see if this emotion that is inside you wants to tell you anything. If there's a message, and if you've received the message, you can thank the emotion for showing you what you need to pay attention to. And if it wants to leave, you can let it leave. Or else you can silently repeat these words in your mind. In all the ways I have criticized myself, judged myself, berated myself, I forgive myself. In all the ways I have judged myself, criticized myself, berated myself, I forgive myself. For all the times I have judged myself, criticized myself, berated myself, I forgive myself. And even though I can sometimes be hard on myself, I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. Even though I can sometimes be hard on myself, I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. Even though I can tend to be hard on myself, I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. And with that, making a wish for yourself. May I be happy. May I be free. May I find peace. May I be happy. May I be free. May I find peace. May I be happy. May I be free. May I find peace. And one more time, just connecting with the breath, feeling gratitude for the body, the breath, and slowly wiggling your toes and fingers, gentle movement in the body. Maybe move your neck side to side. And then when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. And with this, we've reached almost the end of the session today, where I invite any questions anyone has, or if there's anything you'd like to share about today. Okay, so I think we can end the session today. Thank you, everyone, for participating, for being here. Tomorrow, we'll go one step ahead in this journey of knowing yourself, and we'll work on our beliefs. So, we've done the actions, we've done thoughts, we've done feelings, and now we'll come to our beliefs, what we believe, how our beliefs affect us. So, I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. And thanks once again. Thank you for being here.
Just wanted to thank you, Nidhi, for a lovely session.
Thank you, Dinesh. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You. Bye bye.
Bye.